I'm Alex Fonten interviewing Kelsey for the multicultural interview. She went to Australia for a semester, and here is her interview. So, Kelsey, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Arlington, Texas,
And what country did you study abroad in?
Australia.
How are those? How is it different going from a bigger town in Texas to a different country?
Um, it was a lot of adjustment actually, since the culture there are just different. It's just way more spread out. It's also very relaxed, and I'm used to like the United States, which is like has an upbeat type of flow. So.
Um, how would you say everyday life is different from here and in Australia?
Um, Again, like I said, just the pace of life. Like there's coffee shops everywhere. A lot of people just took a break when they wanted. Um, for instance, in Sydney, I would compare Sydney and Melbourne to a lot like New York City, but a lot cleaner, a lot way less fast paced. It was just kind of, but still very modern and tall buildings everywhere, and it had the same kind of look as New York City, but it was still a lot cleaner and just a lot more mellower. Also, I mean that was in the city life. On the beaches and stuff, people were just, they did these. They they participated in a lot more sports, I think.
So, was communication with Australians difficult or different?
It wasn't difficult because most of their words are the same as ours. I mean, with an accent to them, but some of it, there was a little language barrier in the way. Like some of the words, I had no clue. Like gas is petrol there. Hot dog is snags. What else? Just rooting means something different there. um, yeah, so there was select words that were different, but
not hard to communicate.
Not hard to communicate. If you didn't know it, they were willing to explain what it was, type of thing to you.
Cool. Were the personalities similar to our friendly Texan personalities or personalities in the United States?
Yes, I think that almost everyone that I came in contact with were very friendly and willing to help you out, even though I was a tourist. And yeah, they were like almost overly kind, even more so than Texans, I would say. Like, for instance, in Sydney, my friend and I got lost, and we like had our maps out and trying to like figure out our way around the bus system and things like that. And more than just a few people came up and like helped us without even having to ask for help. And like one lady actually was on her lunch break and like went like almost a mile out of her way just to like walk us and show us where to go to.
Because you did stand out as a tourist, did you feel like there were stereotypes towards the United States or Texas when you told people you were from there?
Yeah, definitely. I think their perception, just from talking with the locals, their perception of the United States is very fast paced, very almost dirty, that were kind of rude. And at the same time, they thought we'd have this huge accent and with like Texan draw, and they thought that we rode our horses to school, things like that. So yeah, they definitely had stereotypes, and the only like cities that they even like thought of were like LA and New York.
Were you able to break any of those stereotypes?
Yeah, for sure. I think just after they met me and like everyone else that I went with, they saw like how different we were and what they thought we were going to be like. So I think we definitely broke the stereotypes of what they thought.
Cool. Did you notice any cultural segregation between groups, for instance, between the natives and English settlers?
Yeah, there is a lot of there's a lot of Chinese tourists there, just and then which maybe had some stereotypes, and then there was a lot of maybe I would say unspoken segregation for the Aboriginal culture there, which was like the first natives that ever settled there, and they had like almost their own town, their own like school system and stuff on some of the cities that we went into, and they were more located on the borders, like near the water and stuff. Not really in. You never saw them in the cities.
Oh, okay, cool. From experiencing the Aboriginal people, did you learn any traditions?
Yeah, I went to the cultural center while I was there, and kind of just showed us like some of their customs and their traditions, and they they showed us like the history of the boomerang, and I mean the didgeridoo, which is like this musical instrument that they play with like the long stick. And I mean, they showed us like how to get berries from like grass, and so yeah, I learned a lot of different things about their culture. A lot of them are gonna like I guess they're built pretty big and strong, like, and they a lot of them are in the rugby teams.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Are they really big in rugby there?
Yeah, well, rugby and AFL, which is Australian Football League, is like the dominant sport there. Just rugby and depending on what part of the country you're in.
Would you say it's similar to America's love for baseball and football?
Yeah, definitely. It'd be
kind of separated.
Almost more than, because it's like their main sport. So it's like, you know how you have your baseball players and then your football player, like lovers, like everyone bonded over footy is what they called it.
That's cool. How was the wildlife and overall scenery different from the United States?
It was. I actually thought it was kind of very surprisingly a lot like the United States, except for obviously, I mean, it has the Great Barrier Reef in the northern like eastern part of the country, and then it has the coastline on the southern with just like the most amazing views of like all these. It's called, I think, the Golden Cliffs and like the Apostles there, and then you have the rainforest, which we don't have here, but it was a lot where they had like like different parts of the country where different types of climates were the same. Like more inner, the country was more like the cities, but on the coastal regions, you had more beaches, and then it was weird because you had the rainforest, and then which is weird because you have the outback, so they just kind of had a variety of all different things.
Even though everything was slightly different, since there are a lot of similarities, did you find it difficult to adjust?
No, I didn't find it difficult to adjust. I think I would have found it difficult to adjust if I had a hard time like speaking the same language, but since it's just a little different English,
yeah,
it wasn't hard.
And you don't think the native or locals, it was difficult for them to interact with you as well, or adjust to?
No, I don't think it was.
Americans?
I mean, I don't think that they thought it was hard to adjust. I'm sure that they. I almost thought like they almost wanted to get to know us and me better. Just since I was from like another country, they wanted to like know more about America because I don't think a lot of them have never been over to America, so they didn't know what it was like. They've just heard about it.
Cool. From your experiences, would you ever live there in Australia for a longer period of time?
Yeah, I loved it. I had an awesome time. The only thing that I could think of that I don't know if I would love getting to use to is that right? Used to would be the price of living there is just so high. But again, the minimum wage is a lot higher there as well, so it kind of balances out. But the price of living and just like the cost for food, just gas, getting around is just a lot more different and stuff. But there's more things I want to see, more things I want to go back to and visit. I had a great time, so I'd love to live there.
Well, good. I'm glad you had a good experience in Australia.